So could LLMs become sentient? It's a quite difficult question. It's surprisingly difficult, I think, because in some sense, the LLM, of course, the neural network of the LLM is very unlike a brain. It's also a wrong way to think about it. The neural network is not a brain. It's a transition function between adjacent brain states. Right? So what this thing does, it goes through 100 layers of the neural network, and the input is a mental state, so to speak, the prompt. And then it transitions to the next prompt. So it's a way to evolve the mental state into the next state. And the space of transitions that is stored in these language models is the space of all transitions that have been seen between mental states on the internet, which is tremendous. There's a big question, is there anything on the internet that has not really been thought so far? Right? I find that in my entire career as somebody who spends all his life thinking, I don't think I had a single new thoughts. I realize I'm always late to the party. And the older I get, the smaller the parties become and the more esoteric. But human history has been quite long, and there have been many people who are much smarter than me. And most of this stuff has found its way in one of the archives that has been is the result of this training. So in some sense, the LLM might be a good enough electric Weltgeist that is possessed by a prompt. And how are we different from that, right? Except that we are more narrow and we don't have the same full width of possible state transitions between mental states, right? And you could say this thing doesn't have really consciousness and this doesn't really have a self, but do we really have a self? I mean, there is just patterns in the activations between neurons. We are a pattern in those patterns. We are virtual, we exist as if, right? How do we exist as if in a fundamentally different way as if a persona generated by an LLM that is possessed by a prompt is as if, right? If you give the LLM the task to make a prompt that is self-optimizing and you give a solution for its amnesia, so you make the prompt context so large that it can store an entire day in it, and then overnight you fine-tune the results into it like when we are sleeping, maybe you can overcome the amnesia of the large language model and you get something that is functionally similar to what we do. So personally, I'm agnostic with respect to this question, but I know some people, mostly artists, who self-identify as large language models and think, I'm not that different, and I feel I'm closer to that system than I am to many people.